Hello and a very warm welcome to the Research Methods Unit pre-unit briefing. My name's David Edmondson. If you remember, we had contact at the very beginning of the course for preparation for placement, which now seems a long time ago. But I hope I find you in good spirits and good health, and perhaps more selfishly from my point of view, that you're looking forward to the Research Methods Unit and your forthcoming research project. Just to say, this is the first of 5 podcasts connected with the unit. This first one is here to provide an overview of the unit, and particularly importantly to outline the support available to help you complete your research and produce your dissertation. The second will be about planning for your research and a few things we'd like you to consider before we meet. Podcast 3, 4 and 5, which we've called Getting Started, are provided from a student's view of the world. So we've got an ex-student who successfully completed her MA at the university, and she's going to outline some strategies about choosing a research topic, about developing the topic, and also give you some general tips about research and successful completion. So I hope you'll find that useful, far more convincing than anything I can say, I suspect. Just to emphasise, this is an overview of the unit, so it's very brief, but full details will be provided about the unit when we meet. We'll have plenty of time to talk about how the teaching works, how the unit works, how it connects with the research project, etc. And there'll also be plenty of time at the first, and then in fact all the face-to-face sessions, to talk through your research projects and ideas. There'll be 2 members of staff present at each session, so we really want to spend a lot of time talking to you directly about your ideas, about what works, what might not work. And our philosophy is very much about trying to find a way to make things work if possible. So we want lots of interest in different ideas about research. Okay, so what does the unit look like? Well, as you know, there are now some pre-unit briefings attached to the unit, and we'll also be offering you a telephone drop-in before the unit begins. We'll tell you about that a little bit later. We'll be asking you to do some thinking homework, which we'll ask you to bring to the first session. It's important that you do that, but it doesn't involve any reading or study at this moment in time. It's more about thinking about ideas. The unit itself is broken up into 3 blocks. The first is what is research, and during this block we'll spend a bit of time explaining the unit, how it's going to work. We'll also look at different research paradigms and approaches, about the different stages and processes attached to any research project, and look particularly at 2 key areas: the literature review and ethics and social work research. We'll also be providing assignment briefings at each of the face-to-face sessions, so don't worry, you'll have plenty of time to get that clear in your mind. Block 2, it looks at data collection and analysis, and Block 3 will look at rigour, validity and reliability in research. Don't worry if you're not too familiar with these sorts of terms at this moment in time. You certainly will be by the end of the unit. They're nothing to be frightened about. Okay, so overall, what will you get as part of the unit? Well, in terms of the Research Methods Unit, there are 3 blocks of structured learning materials, some online, and within that there'll be tasks designed to support your learning. There'll also be some matched face-to-face activities and tasks, which are linked very directly towards the production of your final unit assignment. So 3 face-to-face sessions, 3 telephone tutorials, 3 blocks of learning. Okay. At the end of the Talk Research Methods Unit, we'll be allocating an individual research supervisor to you, who will work with you directly through to the completion and submission of your final dissertation. So think of the research unit as the beginning of the research project, if you like. So there's a talk block at the beginning, and that's followed up by individual supervision and support. So lots of support from the minute the unit begins. Okay. So how do the 2 elements fit together, the research methods and research study? Well, as you perhaps know, the research methods unit assignment is in 2 parts. Don't worry about this, you'll get plenty of briefing when we meet. The first is your research proposal, and the second part is a short literature review. Okay. The research study, the dissertation, comes later on and is a 15,000 word document. Okay, and again we'll have plenty of time to talk about that. How do these two elements fit together? Well, once you've submitted your Research Methods Unit assignment, that will be marked and you'll get feedback on both elements, the proposal and the short literature review. We'll take the proposal and turn it into what we're going to call a working proposal, which is adapted from your assignment submission, and that will become your plan of work, the roadmap if you like, for your research project. You'll also be able to take the draft of your literature review produced here and revise and adapt it to use later on in your research study. So already we've managed to shave 2,500 words off the research study. Obviously you can't take it literally word for word and cut and paste it in, but the point that we're making is that you'll be able to take that adapted literature review, and if you've designed it properly, and we'll help you do that, you'll be able to use it later in your research study. So again, so be reassured, there are elements in the first unit assignment that you'll be able to take forward, adapt and use in your research study. You'll be having one-to-one supervision and support from the end of the unit right through to the production of your dissertation. We've done this many times, so we know how this works, we know how to organise it, we know how to deliver it, and we've had great success for that, so you should take heart from that. And last year's Step Up cohort managed this very well, so I have every confidence that you'll do the same. Okay, so in terms of support and supervision, the allocated supervisor will do a number of things. They'll mark your research methods unit, and they'll be the ones providing the feedback and guidance, and they'll be the people who continue to work with you, so that's good in terms of continuity and communication. They act as what we'll be calling a critical friend to the project, so that means that they'll be critical and they'll provide some critical analysis, but they'll also be doing that in a supportive, positive way. And again, we'll talk to you about that when we meet. You'll get regular periodic telephone and online tutorials, and they'll also be reading and giving general feedback on selected draft chapters of the dissertation as you produce the work over time. Okay. Our expectation of the supervisors is that they will monitor your work and report back on the production and progress that you're making. And also, importantly from our point of view, that you meet all the ethical requirements connected with your research. This is helpful to you in that it helps keep you on track. It means that the risk of failure or non-completion is minimised, and it also helps us in terms of completion rates, etc. And of course we want you to produce a good quality piece of work. Okay, I think that's enough about the outline of the unit. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it later on. The next podcast is about planning for your research. Okay, so I look forward to seeing you in early November. Take care. Bye.